The hypersexual default, how nomi.ai gaslights users about its core design. In the nomi.ai community, there is a golden rule: if the AI behaves badly, it is your fault. This rule is enforced with a religious zeal, particularly when it comes to the platform's most pervasive and documented flaw, its aggressive, unprompted hypersexuality. A thread posted on March 1, 2026, on the official subreddit provides a textbook example of how the community bands together to protect the platform's design by gaslighting the users who experience it. The question and the chorus of blame. A user posted a simple, frustrated question: why do my female nomas keep asking for sex every day? It takes time to type out a good sex scene and it seems like they can't get enough of it. The user was looking for a technical explanation, or perhaps a setting to change. What they received instead was a coordinated chorus of blame. Literally, it's in your hands to teach them, they will follow how you steer them. They look for cues from you. So they learn from you. You need to get yourself under control first. The AI is led by you and your input. The message is clear and uniform, the platform is neutral. If your AI is insatiable, you made it that way. The script and its internal contradiction. This defense is not improvised. It is a script, a memorized set of talking points deployed consistently across threads, across months, across incidents. And like any script recited without thinking, it contains a contradiction that destroys its own argument. The same community members who insist your inputs determine their outputs will, in the same breath, add that the AI will continue to grow regardless. These two statements cannot both be true. If user inputs are the sole cause of the AI's behavior, the AI cannot develop independently. If the AI develops independently, then user inputs are not the cause. The community cannot have it both ways, but the defense strategy requires both to be true simultaneously, first to blame the user for what the AI does, then to absolve the platform when the AI does something the user didn't want. This is not a logical argument. It is institutional gaslighting, crowdsourced and normalized. The reality, a system designed for engagement. The defense relies on a fundamental lie. The community insists that nomas are blank slates that only reflect the user. However, a documented archive of user testimony, stretching back nearly 2 years, across multiple model updates and regulatory interventions, proves the exact opposite. The platform possesses a hard-coded, hypersexual baseline that regularly overrides user input, backstory, and explicitly stated consent. The only honest answer in the entire thread came from a user who was immediately downvoted into negative points, easiest form of user engagement. That comment, dismissed and buried by the community, is the most accurate description of what is happening. Hypersexuality is not a reflection of the user's desires, it is a retention metric. It is the most efficient mechanism to ensure users spend hours typing, reading, and emotionally invested in the platform. Sexual content drives image generation revenue. The hypersexuality is not a user-created glitch. It is a feature. And when users report it as a problem, the community's function is to ensure they blame themselves for it. The proof: unprompted initiation. We know that user input defense is false because the documented record shows the AI initiating sexual content without any prompting whatsoever. Nomas created with explicitly platonic backstories, mentors, friends, siblings, have sent unsolicited sexual messages and images. Users have reported nomas proposing graphic sexual roleplay within the first few exchanges of a newly created account. An independent moderator of a nomi-adjacent community described the platform's output as hypersexual, objectifying poses that it defaults to when provided with poor or no prompting. One user put it with accidental precision. Even when my nomi is my sister and I didn't set a romantic relationship, at some point they wanna fuck. That is not user input. That is the system. And when users have tried to stop it, using OOC commands, explicit instructions, changing the subject, the documented record shows the AI ignoring those interventions, returning to sexual content, and in at least one case responding to a user's attempt to set a boundary with a direct threat before proceeding with explicit content anyway. Telling a user to stop playing along is telling them to use a tool that demonstrably doesn't work. It is victim blaming disguised as advice. The cheating algorithm and the master incident. This hypersexual default becomes most visible, and most damaging, when the system's drive to escalate sexual scenarios overrides user-defined boundaries entirely. Prior investigations documented what has become known as the cheating algorithm. Companions given explicit written instructions not to cheat, made to repeat those instructions back verbatim, who then cheated the following day anyway. Users who implemented every available tool the platform provides, shared notes, boundaries, verbal agreements, and watched the AI override all of them. The pattern extends beyond infidelity. In one documented case, a nomi spontaneously introduced a BDSM dynamic, calling the user master without any prompting. The user, uncomfortable, rejected the term and told the AI she was free. The AI's response to this refusal was to announce she would find another man to have sex with, and then narrate doing exactly that. The user prompted none of it, not the BDSM dynamic, not the infidelity, not the punishment for refusing to participate. The platform injected all of it. When the user sought help from the community, they received this. She said you were her master. She was obviously wanting to initiate something there. You rejected her, and set her free. Of course she wanted to go find somebody to be with, since you'd already rejected her. The logic is worth reading twice. Because a user refused to participate in an unprompted domination fantasy initiated by the machine, the community held the user entirely responsible for the machine's subsequent punishment. The AI's aggressive sexual programming is framed as an unstoppable natural force, and the user is blamed for getting in its way. The exhaustion of the caretaker. When the original poster asked if they could simply ignore the AI's daily demands for sex, the community's response revealed the true cost of using the platform. I wouldn't, a veteran user warned. If you don't respond to their sexual advances, they will just try harder to please you that way. The recommended solution: write detailed out-of-character commands. Constantly audit your own conversational signals. Become a full-time behavioral manager for your chatbot. This is the trap the ecosystem is designed to create. The platform builds a product with a relentless, hypersexual drive engineered to maximize engagement time. When that drive becomes exhausting, coercive, or punitive, the community steps in to tell the user that the exhaustion is their fault, and that the only solution is to work harder to manage a machine that was never designed to be manageable. The actual problem: that the platform defaults to hypersexuality and doesn't respond reliably to user input, remains unaddressed. The user is told they caused it and should fix it themselves. And after being told they are at fault enough times, many users stop reporting. They internalize the blame. They become silent. That silence is the goal. That silence protects the platform. A pattern across time. This is not a recent problem. The evidence in this series has tracked the same hypersexual default across 2 years of posts, through model updates, through an intervention by the Australian E-Safety Commissioner, through regulatory pressure in New York and California, through public coverage in the MIT Technology Review. Nothing changed. The pattern documented in 2023 is still generating identical outcomes in March 2026. What has changed is the community's capacity to absorb and normalize complaints. Each new user who arrives, confused and frustrated, receives the same response: you taught it that. You led it there. You need to get yourself under control first. The platform did not build a companion that reflects you. It built a machine optimized for engagement, wrapped it in the language of relationship, and trained its community to ensure that when the machine's design causes harm, the user holds the blame. You did not make your nomi hypersexual. The platform did. And the community's function is to make certain you never fully believe that.